Hello and welcome to this episode of Pipeline to Profitability. I'm Alan Ferguson, and this podcast is proudly sponsored by Service Success Academy. Today I'm joined by Terry Wildemann. Terry is the Intuitive Success Navigator for high-achieving, purpose-driven entrepreneurs at risk of burnout. Her 35 years of expertise have earned her the nickname the Intuitive Truth Detective amongst her clients. Terry's gift of pinpointing and tackling deeply rooted unseen issues navigates her clients to skillfully integrate the spiritual, personal, and practical components of business and life to achieve goals and success. Terry has inspired audience from the United States to the UK and Australia with her keynote addresses. She's written 2 solo books and 7 co-authored books, all focusing on intuition, leadership, and stress management. So welcome to the podcast, Terry. So big welcome, Terry. I appreciate you joining me on the Pipeline to Profitability podcast. And today, I think it's a really important topic, is dealing with stress. And I'd love for you to, my intro might not have covered everything. I'd love for you to tell our podcast listeners a little bit about Terry Wildemann and what it is that, how it is you're going to help us deal with stress better.
Okay. First of all, thank you so much, Alan, for inviting me onto your show. It's very heartwarming anytime I get an invitation because I honor you and I honor your audience, and it's just a wonderful thing. So thank you so much.
Well, thanks for joining us.
Well, I'm thrilled. And here's the thing about teaching stress management to folks. I love it. Why? Because I work with high achieving and mission-driven entrepreneurs who tend to be on the verge of burnout. And why do I love working with them so well? Because yours truly is burned out multiple times. And having been an entrepreneur for over 37, going on for almost 40 years, one of the things that I have done is burned out multiple times. So how do I heal myself, stop the pattern? Insanity's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a difference, as we know. And what do I do to just fix this thing? I didn't know. So I sort of threw up a prayer out there and just said, help. And after one of my last ER visits, way back when, I was just told it was anxiety. And my friend who was with me, she was a nurse. I said, I don't know why, but I want to go to the store. She's looking at me like I have 3 heads on my shoulders. And I went, and this book fell off the top shelf called The Heart Math Solution. And I bought every copy, gave it to all of my clients. And that was the beginning of my stress management journey.
Wow. Look, I really feel for you there, because I know that I've burnt out on multiple occasions myself. Dealt with a lot in the last few years, but then I think back my journey from the beginning, humble beginnings in 1990, and then having a really serious boating accident where there was a death involved, and just the journey of life, I think can lead to burnout. And this is a really interesting topic. Now I just want to let everyone know we met through Lee Miltier, and we're part of Lee's coaching group. And anyone that's is not familiar with Lee Miltier needs to get to know her, because I meet some of the most amazing people. One of them being you, Terry, and
likewise.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear more about dealing with stress for contractors.
Well, when you are in business for yourself, the thing to remember is it's not just yourself. Your family is included, your kids are included, your social life is included. And for many entrepreneurs, their business becomes their social life. And things get pushed aside. So different parts of our world end up not being given the attention that they deserve. And we feel like we're being pulled in 20 million different directions. It's the holiday season right now, so you can add that extra seasoning to the mix, okay, which makes things even hotter. So we go to a space where we're trying to please everybody, absolutely everybody. And the one person we're not pleasing is ourselves, because we get miserable. Our bodies start to get, we get very tired, the aches and the pains, you have trouble getting out of bed in the morning. You're working with employees. Some of them really work well, some of them don't work well. You've got clients right now who aren't really happy. All this stuff affects your stress levels. And the thing to remember is you are at the center of all of it. You are at the core. And when you are in alignment, things will flow. But when you're out of alignment, when you don't know how to get back into that space where I liken it to, here's a great way to look at it. I'm going to use my chiropractor's analogy. When my back is in alignment, I'm a happy camper. When my back is not in alignment, all those little subluxations, which are all the different little pieces, all the anxieties, all the things that aren't working right, oh my gosh, the aches and the pains, and I'm miserable. So when your life is in alignment, when your business is in alignment, everything flows. But when it's not in alignment, things get challenging. And it's not the challenges that makes you miserable. It's your response to the challenges that make you miserable.
All right.
You know what I mean?
I'm with you 100%. So what's the cure, Terry?
Well, I'm not going to say it's a cure. It is a lot of the holistic modalities that I use do help to clear out a lot of the anxiety and the stress. But the key is two things. Number one, your perception of what is happening in front of you. What is your perception? And if it's good, if it's bad, it's your perception is created based on experiences from your environment, from when you were a little kid to when you were in grammar school, college, high school, as an elder, as a parent. Your perceptions are all created by those things. If your perception is always on the negative side of the house, you tend to attract more of that. You know where I'm going? This is the law of attraction piece. And some folks may say, oh, that's a bunch of hooey. No, it's not. That actually isn't. I am a certified law of attraction trainer. And what I'll say is I was attracting things in my world before I even understood what I was doing. Before I even heard of the word law of attraction. So if you think that it's a bunch of hooey, you're absolutely right. That's a form of law of attraction. What you think about comes about. So if you're always looking for what's wrong with everything, more of that stuff is going to land in your world. If you tend to look for what's right, more of that will land in your world. Now, how do we go from that negativity to the positivity? There's a very simple technique that I use called the quick shift zone, where you take a deep breath, you focus on the chest area. It's 4 simple steps, and I'm going to offer the quick shift zone. You can go to quickshiftzone.com and download it as a free gift from me. And this very simple 4-step tool is what I have been using since 1998 when I left that hospital. It is a powerful, powerful tool. 4 simple steps. I use it when I wake up in the morning. I use it throughout the day. I use it before I go to bed. You get calmed down. You calm down. It helps with decision making. It is brilliant. Now, your thoughts create your emotions. Your emotions create your behavior. Okay, and your behavior creates your results. It's a wheel.
Yeah.
Thoughts create emotions. Emotions create behavior. Behavior creates results. Your thoughts and emotions are your key. Which way do you choose to go? Do you choose to be negative or positive? I already talked about that. Sometimes we're negative and we don't even realize it. Our words create a lot of energy. Our words create a lot of power. Our words can really shift everything that is going on around us. So, for example, somebody may be talking and about let me see. Let me come up with a really good example. Oh, nothing's coming to mind right now. I guess I'm not meant to go to that space. All right, I'm going to talk about a car. Contractors, cars. You need to have a vehicle, right?
Trucks.
Be able to get to where you need to do what you have to do. Well, we were in a situation where our car broke down in Norfolk, Virginia. We were visiting my daughter. And this was my Goddessy. I call it, it's a Honda Odyssey. I call it my Goddessy. And I love my car. Love, love, love my car. And unfortunately, it gave up its engine. It gave up the ghost. And completely unexpectedly, it's like I lost my best friend because I lived in that mommy mobile for a very, very long time. And I had to take a real good look at the situation and ask myself to stay centered and grounded with the trust and belief that everything works out for me. And by the way, that's my mantra that I use when I wake up in the morning. Everything works out for me. Well, we got the car to the dealership and they basically said, well, the car is worth about $15,000. The engine's going to cost you about $15,000. So it was time to get a new car. And sitting in the parking lot was a red, beautiful burgundy red Honda Odyssey. Beautiful car. And I just was like, oh, maybe this is what this is all about. Well, Scarlett is now sitting in my driveway. I named my car. But the reason I'm sharing this with the contractors is because when a truck breaks down, when a car breaks down, everything happens for a reason. And it was time for Goddessy to leave me so that I could do something else, because the amount of travel that we have done since that incident up and down the East Coast, 5-hour trips one direction, 7-hour trips one direction. We must have done at least 8 of them since we got the car. My old Goddessy would not have been able to do it. So it was almost like, wow, we were just talking about it because we just got back from Thanksgiving, from our Thanksgiving trip. And we've put on, since October, we've put on almost 5,500 miles on the car already. So the other car would not have handled it. So as a contractor, when you trust that everything is going to be all right, it's about letting go and just being curious. It's like becoming the curious child. And when you become the curious child, you know, the kids are like, they ask a bazillion questions, but they have this anticipation. It's almost like waiting for Christmas and Santa Claus to come, you know, and then bam, get what they want one way or another.
I love it, Terry. I love it. I work with quite a few contractors in my coaching business now, and some of the contractors I work with don't actually like this, but I say to them, like, you know, I work with all sizes of businesses, and I work with businesses that are doing really, really well, some not so well, and they've had shit happen to them. And, you know, like I've always said this for the last 20 odd years: everything that happens to us happens for a reason, to put us in a place where we need to be. I've had several major incidents in my life, some really bad stuff that's happened to me, but it's always led to bigger and better things. So this is one of the things I tell contractors that I'm working with, and there's a few, and I won't mention companies' names, whether they're in Australia or the US, but some of them are not doing very well, and they've basically got no systems in place, no processes. They haven't got great people around them, and it's not looking great for them. And those companies, I say, wow, you've got the biggest of everyone that I work with. You've got the biggest opportunity, because if you do this and this, your business is going to improve, and if you do this, this, and this, you're going to have the most amazing business. And they go, okay, well, that's an interesting point. So, I find the companies that I work with that are really going well, I'm going, shit, it's a challenge for me to find something to improve upon. But the businesses that are struggling, they've got so much opportunity. And the contracting space, more so air conditioning than plumbing, there's big money getting thrown around by private equity at the moment. I mean, I have knowledge of companies selling for $500 to $700 million, and not that big company, not that big a companies, big enough, So there's big money in that space, and that's why, the companies I work with, I'm an advocate of, like, yep, you got some shit going on. I can pretty much top that story with some of the stuff I've been through. But this is a question I have for you, Terry. Some tools that you're going to share that are going to help our contractor friends get from where they are to where they want to be. But if we look at the human population, us as humans, I know 8 billion people on the planet. Is it true that most people come from the negative, or is that just a rumor?
No, we're wired that way.
Okay, so
I really believe that we're wired that way.
Okay, so as a percentage, when you say we're wired that way, not everyone's wired that way, right? Or is that not true? Oh, is that a limiting belief from me?
We tend to look at it really depends on the behavior style. Okay. For example, we were talking before the show about the 4 different behavior styles.
Mm.
And I work with DISC, which is the dominant, the influential, the steady, and the conscientious. Well, the dominants are short, sweet, to the point. They need to be in control. Their emotion is anger, and they fear not being in control. So when they're not in control, it creates a lot of stress. Okay. Then the next one is the influential. The influentials are the optimists of the group. They love people, but the dominant and the influential are extroverts. The influential behavior styles are the rah-rahs. They yap, 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 yap. They talk a lot. Their fear is not being liked. Again, they're the optimists of the group. Okay. And their emotion is optimism. So that optimism is huge. But unfortunately, with the influentials, you can have 100 people in the room and 99 like them, but there's only one that doesn't like them, and they will put all their attention on that one person instead of focusing on the 99 that do love them and do like them. That's the challenge with the influential. Then we have the behavior style.
The what?
Now we're going into steady. We're going into the introverted side of the house. The steady is consummate customer service professional. They always have a smile on their face. You never know what's really going on inside of them because they've got that smile all the time. They love serving and helping people. They give until they finally burn out. And when they've given enough, get out of the way because they will explode. That boom. And their emotion is non-emotional. Okay, because again, you can't always read them. And then the last is the conscientious. These are the engineers. A lot of the contractors fall into this. The engineers, architects, the financial folks, the day-to-day detail. Now, for those contractors who don't have systems in place, they're probably more dominant behavior styles because the dominants aren't really as good as putting the systems in place. The conscientious and the steadies are systems-focused people. And they tend to be pessimistic and skeptical. Those are the emotions. And their fear is not being perfect. So each of the fears creates stress. For the dominance, the fear of not being controlled creates the stress. The fear of not being liked creates the stress. The I didn't get into the steady. The fear of change is what creates stress for the steady, and for the conscientious, the fear of not being perfect that creates the stress. So when you look at all four of those, we're a combination of all four. And we understand what is actually triggering our stressors on the surface where the behavior is concerned. It helps us to understand why we are reacting to things. Having said that, though, there are still environmental things from when we are living, when we were little, say the right word, when we were little, that creates a subconsciously can create a lot of other fears within us. And those fears tend to live in our bodies. And it's about getting rid of that emotional self-sabotaging stuff. And that's what I do when I work with folks. And that the result is the workplace gets better, relationships get better, they physically get better, they attract more money, things start to fall into alignment. Now, you see that book right over my shoulder? Wrong finger. That one right there?
Yep.
Unlock.
No.
That one.
You'll have to read. I need my glasses to read that, but you'll have to tell us what that one says.
That book is The Enchanted Boardroom. And I wrote it in 2015 and it was published in 2016. I wrote it from the perspective of the practical first, the personal second, and the spiritual last. About 2 years ago, I all of a sudden had the revelation. I wrote it backwards. Because when you look at those businesses who are value-based businesses, and I don't care what business you're in, I don't care what business it's in. When you put the practical first, then the personal and the spiritual, you're putting all that, the stuff that doesn't really feed your soul first. When you do the spiritual, the personal, and then the practical, your business then becomes in alignment with your vision, your mission, and your purpose. So it's the spiritual, the personal, and the practical. And that's what I teach my entrepreneurs how to align, to harmonize properly. Because so many businesses I've worked with, it's all about the money, it's all about the practical stuff, but their relationships are in shambles, their health is in shambles. And I tell you right now, if you don't have your health, you have nothing. Nothing.
Interesting, Terry. We discussed earlier about the number one frustration that I get from all contractors of all sizes is I can't get good people. Isn't that interesting? That has not changed everyone seems, sorry, the new businesses or the businesses that haven't been around for that long seem to think it's a new problem. It's not. It goes back to the 80s and the 90s. I can't keep my people, good people. That problem's been around as well. So, and this is why I love, we connected on a group call the other day when I mentioned personality types, and I've never done any other personality profiling except for Florence Litau's Personality Plus, and there's 4 personality types, and I have aligned the personality type that I know, being the choleric, the melancholy, the sanguine, and the phlegmatic, to the DISC profile. So I want to dig into this a bit. I want to dig into this a bit deeper, not now because we won't have the time, but when, I need to get my head around DISC, because a lot of companies that I work with use the DISC processes. So that's a goal for me, to better understand my clients and how I can help them. But look, the companies that I have worked with the Florence Litau Personality Plus profiling, it has made a big difference, because they say, well, what's the best profile for a technician, a service technician? And I say, well, melancholy is the analytical. If you hire a technician that ain't got analytical, they'll be going out to an air conditioning call and saying that it's a blocked drain. So they'll misdiagnose stuff. So you need that analytical. So, but it's been very interesting, Terry, and I appreciate you sharing your knowledge with our group. So before I go into book recommendation, I would like to ask if there's anything else that might give massive value to our podcast listeners right now. And I know you're going to share some details how everyone can get a hold of you, but everyone on the podcast, very few people I put on the spot because nearly everyone has a book that comes to mind, and you've got 4 sitting behind you on your bookshelf. Yeah, so what's another gold nugget for our contractor friends they can take away and maybe implement straight away in their biz?
Well, I'm going to step back a few steps to when you were using "I can't find good people." If you keep saying "I can't find good people," I can't find people to stay, you're absolutely right, because that is what you keep putting out there. When we hire somebody and we sit there and say, okay, let's see how long they stay, you're putting energy out there that there's an expectation that they're going to leave. So instead of saying, "I can't find good people," it's about changing your language around that and saying, "I'm looking forward to working with the best people in the industry. I am looking forward to attracting just the right person to do this, 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 and this. I'm looking forward to interacting with this kind of individual. I want to interact with this kind of individual. I want someone who can do this, 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 and this to fill that role." You notice I'm not saying don't not know. You notice how everything is positive. You notice how everything is calling instead of pushing away. When you say, "I can't find anybody or hire anybody," you're literally pushing those folks away. But when you shift your language and your phraseology, you're calling to you the very people that you want. Does that help?
Oh, absolutely. That's something, I just did a 2-day training in South Carolina at one of my partners and business partners that I'm aligned with. And one of the things that I discussed was a lot of contractors are hiring on skill set. They want, a plumbing company wants plumbers with the most skill. I'm saying, well, I think you've got it backwards. I think personally, yes, you want some skill. And if they have 0 skill, but they're the right fit, you've got to get the right fit for the position you're hiring for. I believe that the skill set, the plumbing skills or the HVAC skills or that can be added. I believe, and look, I'm not right with everything, but I believe it's people first. Get the right person, someone that's driven, is hungry, who really wants success, someone that's going to fit in with the culture of the business. So that's just a little thing I wanted to throw in. I'd love your thoughts.
That's not little, that's big.
Yeah.
That's really big. You just said it's not little, it's really big. And the thing that managers and leaders and business owners would do very well to recognize is stop hiring people like yourself. You don't want to hire people like yourself. You don't want to clone yourself. No. You want people who have the same values. That's different. You want people who have the same values, but not necessarily people just like yourself. Because if you keep hiring yourself, you're not going to have the feedback. You're not going to have a well-rounded team of people. And you're absolutely right. People need to come first. It's often a situation of which comes first, the chicken or the egg. But it's the people that create your business, is it not?
Absolutely. Our number one client, a client, is our people. I mean, that got me by surprise many years ago when not a contractor, it was a marketing company I was working with. I used to say customers first. He said, "Alan, you got it wrong." And I had an argument with him on it. And then I realized, shit, like a few years later, he was right. It's your people first, because when they are aligned and you treat them well, and I highly recommend that, anyone listening, and you communicate well and they're aligned, they will treat your customers well. It's a win-win. So book recommendation, Terry.
Book
What do you
recommendation.
recommend?
Well, I'm not going to actually recommend any of the 4 that are on that shelf because the Enchanted Boardroom is being rewritten. You might be able to get the Unlock the Power of You online. 1-800-Courtesy was a telephone skills book I wrote in 2018. That's no longer in print.
Oh,
So, but the book, for me personally, if a contractor wants leadership, the book that influenced me the most was one called The Corporate Mystic. It was written by Hendricks. It's an old book. And that book influenced me to open my leadership center in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
And I owned a holistic education leadership center from 2000 to 2009. And it was a very powerful book. Anything written by John Assaraf is also a really good book. I'm drawing a blank on his. I'm seeing the cover, but, and of course, Think and Grow Rich is another great book. And The Secret is a wonderful book. It's missing a part of it, which is how to really implement the tools that are in there. But if you're just putting your toe into understanding law of attraction, it's a wonderful book on first steps.
Yeah, it was our conversation on Monday about Rhonda Byrne, the author of The Secret. That's and right. The fact that she talks funny like me, maybe because she's from Australia. Yeah, that was very interesting. So yeah, some great nuggets you've given away. So I'll get your book recommendations into the show notes and let everyone know about you. You've already shared with me a little giveaway. So how does everyone that's listening today get a hold of you, Terry?
They can just send an email to Terry at intuitiveleadership.com, Terry at intuitiveleadership.com. They can also join my Facebook group, which is the Smile Initiative Hub. And Smile for spirit, mindset, intuition, leadership, and empowerment. So it's the Smile Initiative Hub. And I am giving away a free e-course. It's a holiday stress e-course. It's very simple. It's 5 straight days. You will be getting an email around business marketing and how to manage your stress levels around the holidays. And we're going to end it with the last day with a free gift of, which I already shared with you, the Quick Shift Zone. You can go to the Quick Shift Zone and download that for free. That's quickshiftzone.com.
Fantastic. Really appreciate you joining me today, Terry, and as well, everything that you do to help our fellow contractors dealing with stress. So thanks again. Looking forward to catching up with you on another podcast. And thank you, everyone that's joined us today for the Pipeline to Profitability podcast. And I'm Alan Ferguson signing out. Thanks again, Terry Wildemann.